Hey folks, so to get ready for bookbinding, I wanted to give you a quick video on the easy part, the first part, but it's also one of the most time-consuming parts, so that you could prepare this ahead of time before the class next week. So this is just regular computer paper, which will work. Thicker paper, it depends on what you want to use the book for. If you want to use it for drawing and writing, this would be fine. If you want to do it for anything that would involve ink or paint or things like that, then I would perhaps use a thicker paper. But I told you between 20 and 25 sheets of paper, and I'm using full size, which means my book is going to be that size, which is, you know, okay for, like, it's like a paperback size, maybe a little taller than a paperback size. But what you have to do is start with is you're going to fold and crease the paper. Don't do more than like 2 sheets at a time, because otherwise it doesn't meet exactly, and you want a really good crease. Once you have 4 or 5, you've got choices. You can either do 4 in what's called a quire or a signature, and that's just where they're all kind of nestled in each other, or you can do 5. With paper like this, 5 is fine. It's going to make a really skinny book with paper like this if we use 25 sheets, and you are welcome to do as many as you want. I just said between 20 and 25 so that we could learn how to do it. And go through the process of doing it. But if you want, when we do the class, if you don't want to finish your book during the class and you'd like to add more signatures or quires to make it a thicker book, that's fine. Okay, so once you get a signature folded, so you're going to do 4 or 5 of these packets, okay? And then they will get stacked on each other, and that's what we'll stitch together with our class. But just so I can show you how it'll end up looking, so you're just going to take these, and you'll have 4 or 5 of these packets, and they're called signatures or quires. Okay, so getting that paper folded ahead of time and creased and put into these little packets is helpful, and also probably poking the holes would be smart too. And to do that, you're going to want the holes to be poked right on the fold, not on either side, but right across the fold, because when we stitch, we're going to be stitching with it folded like this, and so we want those holes to be right there. And it is truly much easier to sew if you've got these pre-poked or pre-drilled, so to speak. And there's no right way to do this, but I find I like 6, so 3 sets of 2 holes. I like that because when we stitch, we're going to start from the inside. So that's where the extra thread's going to be, is on this inside, and we go out, then in, across, out, then in, across, out, and we want to end on the inside. So you want an even number of stitch holes. You could do just 2 and 2 if you wanted to. You could do 4 evenly spaced. The 3 sets of 2 seems to be traditional, I guess. And it doesn't have to even be evenly spaced. I like to tend to do them about 1 inch apart and no less than 1/2 inch from the edge of the paper, because I don't want it to tear out. So I'm just going to make some little marks. I don't want them to, that's a terrible pen. I don't want them to show. It's just enough for me to see where to poke the holes. So I've got a set of 2, a set of 2, and I'm going to go kind of to the middle of that ish. And a set of 2. So they're kind of evenly spaced. Once you get one paper punched, you don't have to mark all of the signatures. So once you get one paper with holes in it, then you can take that top one, lay it over the next set, and poke through those holes. Now, to poke the holes, a really, really sharp needle, probably a thicker needle, embroidery size, would work best. I've got a really sharp, thin needle. It's just what I grabbed real quick. And to poke the holes, you might want to protect your furniture if you've got something that you wouldn't want scratched up. But the best way that I've found to do it, you could use an awl too, but sometimes awls aren't sharp enough and it ends up ripping the paper. So I put my needle right on the space, on the dot that I made, and then I pull up with the paper. And I pull the paper over my needle. Okay? And then when I'm pulling, hopefully you can see, I've got it right on there. I put my hands right up next to the needle, my fingers right up next to the needle, and pull. If I held it way out here, it could end up tearing. Now, it's very possible that these holes are not going to be big enough because my needle is super thin, but it's a starting point. Okay, so again, put it on there, pull up on the paper. The middle ones are kind of hard, but you can do that. So there, I've got 2, 2, and 2. And then all I have to do is take my top sheet, put those aside, and I can just envelope my other set and poke. Now, if you're using really thick paper, you might not be able to do a whole signature at once. You might have to take only 2 sheets or 3 sheets. Whatever you have the strength to poke without it ripping. If you just end up doing a sheet at a time, okay, that's perfectly fine. The key is, though, when we are getting ready to stitch these together, you're going to want either 4 or 5 to start. Otherwise, the book's going to be super tiny. 4 or 5 packets of between 4 and 5 pieces of paper. Okay? And so when we are getting ready to learn how to stitch them together, this will have stacks like that ready to go with the holes all lined up, and hopefully they all line up. Okay, so if you want to get this ready before the class on Thursday next week, that would save us some time. I will post in there that I'll start the class a little later for people that have it done, and the class will start at 6 for those folks that have to do this step, and then those people that have this step done can log in a little later, because this is pretty time consuming. Okay, so I just wanted to share that with you guys so you could figure out how to get prepared. All right, see you in a little while.